So, a few weeks ago, Marvel announced that they were going to release their own tabletop role-playing game. Now, this is not the first time that it happens, but it's definitely the first time that it happens since the Disney Marvel takeover. Which means that this new game is probably going to take into account the new iterations of the characters and the stories and their backgrounds and their powers. Now with this game, there are three things that I want to talk about. I want to talk about my expectations for the game, my hopes for the game, and my fears for the game. And it's not really my fears for the game, but rather what I really hope they avoid when releasing the game. But I can't start the video before I roll the intro, so roll intro. News announcement article, they mentioned that it's going to be a different and entirely new system from any that they've used in the past, and it's called D616. Like I mentioned in the intro to the video, this is not their first rodeo. They have done tabletop role-playing games in the past, but they have used very different systems for them. But one of the things I'm really interested about is how, or what will be, rather, the focus for these games. In the past, Marvel tabletop role-playing games really focused on the narrative. It really focused on telling a story more than it focused on how to play the game. Now, we do know that this game is probably going to use a number of very important parameters, like you see in Dungeons & Dragons and other tabletop RPGs. In Dungeons & Dragons, some of the parameters are strength and charisma, wisdom, etc. In this game, however, they're going to be using a very particular set of skills. It sounded like Liam Neeson should have said it, but anyway. In this game, the attributes or parameters that we're going to be using are going to be might, agility, resilience, vigilance, ego, and logic. Which is genius because, as a friend of mine noted, they spell Marvel. And something that I'm really looking forward is seeing how they create the characters that are already established in the Marvel comic universe, but how they use this new power grid or attribute grid, or however they want to call it, to define the power levels from the characters from now on. But anyway, without further ado, these are my expectations, hopes, and fears for Marvel Multiverse role-playing game. So one of the things I'm really expecting to see is a new universe with its own continuity, but with a lot of the things that we remember and recognize from the other universes. Particularly, I'm pretty sure that they're going to be using or at least I'm expecting for them to be using the Marvel Cinematic Universe kind of stories or narrative that they've created, because that's what really I think they're going to want to be pushing. So if it is going to be a new universe, we're probably going to need a little bit of guidance to know what stories are canon within this universe, which is something I'm definitely expecting them to do. I think that in between chapters or in between sections of the rules, they're going to include comic strips that are going to basically guide us or to inform the player base as to how the universe is different or similar to what we're used to. And with this, I'm expecting that they will include guides to create characters from different power sources. The Marvel universe has different kinds of power sources. And what I mean by power source is, let's take, for example, Iron Man. Iron Man doesn't exactly have superpowers, but he does have an amazing intellect that allows him to do all of the things he does. Steve Rogers was just a regular guy who got juiced up with some experimental drugs and stuff and eventually turned into Captain America. Wolverine, Storm, Nightcrawler, Cyclops, all of them received their powers through their genetic inheritance. Black Eye and Hawk Widow. Hawkeye and Black Widow have trained themselves to peak human condition. The Fantastic Four got cosmic powers because of a freak accident in space. Doctor Strange basically has magic powers. So you see, all of these characters have different power sources. The origin of their powers is different. So what I'm expecting them to do is to create guides that allow players to design their backstory using different power sources. I'm also expecting them to, in the future, or even included in the own core rulebook, that they're going to add adventures for the players to start. I think it would be a total waste of an opportunity if they didn't release the game with some supplemental material that sort of gets close to some of the past arcs, story arcs that the comics have released, which is a lot of content that they can use to include in the game. We have, what, more than 10 years of movies and decades worth of comic content? I'm pretty sure that they're going to make sort of adventure books or mission books, pretty much like Dungeons & Dragons have their own campaign books, to allow the players to play through certain stories and not have to make up their own. Although you should always try to put your own spin into what you already have to make it a more unique experience. One moment, please. This is Cherry, and Cherry wanted to say hi. So, you gonna say hi? Hi. She's adorable. There you go. Back to the video. But I've talked already about the expectations. Now I want to talk about what I am hoping for the game. The first thing that I'm hoping for this game is for them to allow players to be able to choose exactly how they want to manifest their characters and how they want to manifest their skills or abilities or powers. And to illustrate this, I want to give you this example. Last year, I played Pathfinder with some friends, and everybody had their own original characters, and they were actually pretty cool. I wanted to create a sort of an anti-venom kind of character. Now the thing is that the system didn't exactly allow for me to be able to play my character how I wanted to play it, and it's not that I wanted to be overpowered, it's just that I wanted to be able to manifest my character as close to anti-venom as possible while retaining my preferred game style or gameplay mechanics. That did not happen because Pathfinder did not allow for the kind of gameplay that I was expecting with the class that I was running. And then mid-game we changed systems because it wasn't really helping us manifest our characters how we wanted to, so we switched to Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. And even though in 5th edition I was able to really play my character more likely to what I was expected, even if my character did go through some very fundamental changes, I still felt like I was locked by what the game system allowed me to do rather than what I actually wanted to do. And another thing that I'm hoping for, and it sort of goes into what I said previously about the themes and the power sources, I'm really hoping that Marvel makes it easy for people to be able to play different game styles, that they are allowed different types of narratives. The players that want to play the smart character can be challenged in how they approach the game in a more intellectual way, or those who just want to punch the living daylights out of people, which, let's be honest, it's most of you, then that they can also be able to have that. Or people who want to play a more stealth-like character are also allowed to do that, regardless of the powers that they chose. And this leads me to my fears for the game. My first fear with this game is that they lock a character's gameplay behind a theme, or rather than the theme that you choose or the power set that you choose locks you into a specific kind of gameplay mechanic. And I know what you're thinking. How could a character like the Hulk possibly do a stealth mission? I get that. But if you look at a character like Spider-Man and Peter Parker can take on and have taken on such a wide range of challenges. So I really don't want to, for example, just say, okay, if I'm playing a Spider-Man character, I have to be stuck with crowd control. If I wanted to replay my anti-venom character, and I want to play sort of like a slimy, stealthy healer, I want to be able to manifest my character exactly like that, without having to be locked into another power source or another origin story. And the other fear that I have And I know they already said that they want the game to be easily learned and easily mastered, but I really hope that they don't overcomplicate the system. I know that a lot of people say that Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition is the easiest version of Dungeons & Dragons to play. I agree. But still, there are so many things that you have to keep track of. I mean, if you look at the character sheets, in order to be able to play a character with everything that you need, you would need 4 character sheets in order to play the game. I would really like Marvel to make a game, make a system that is not only easy to understand and easy to master. I would also love them to make the system simple enough that I don't have to take so many things into consideration if I want to perform an action, but rather how I want to manifest my character's actions. But all in all, I'm really excited about the news. I've actually tried to contact the person that is in charge of the game. I've sent a couple of emails. I am going to keep insisting because it's something that I'm really passionate about, and I really want to bring this information up to you guys. Anyway, do you share my expectations, hopes, and fears? Is there anything else that you think I missed? If you have an idea of the character that you want to be able to play in this universe, also let me know. And if at this point you still haven't done it, make sure that you subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video with someone that you think might like it, and click on the notification bell icon so you can stay up to date with all of the videos and all of the things that I want to talk to you guys about. I basically talk about tabletop role-playing games. I give hints and tips. I have discussion. I am looking to do some reviews for some products that I was able to get my hands on. So make sure that you do all that. My name is Felix Alexander, and from the bottom of my heart, I hope you have a great day and the most amazing, inexplicable peace. Catch you next time, guys. You see it? There's still fluff flying around everywhere.